Welcome back. He is the 47th Vice President of the United States. Please welcome Vice President Joe Biden.
Don't jump.
Thank you for being here. Everybody likes Joe Biden, right? Isn't that right? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I think that is. I think it's because when we see you, we think that we're actually seeing the real Joe Biden. You're not a politician who's created some sort of facade to get something out of us or triangulate your political position or emotional state to try to make us feel a certain way. We see the real you. How did you maintain your soul in a city that is so filled with people who are trying to lie to us in subtle ways?
I commuted every day for 36 years.
So it was going back to Delaware to get another piece of your soul every day?
Yeah. No, look, what always confuses me about some folks I've worked with is why in God's name would you want the job if you couldn't say what you believed? I'm not, there's nothing noble about this, but ask yourselves the question. Would you want a job that, in fact, every day you had to get up and you had to modulate what you said and believed? If you're going to run, you're running for a reason. You want the job for a reason. And if you can't state why you want the job, then there's a lot more lucrative opportunities other places.
I can't imagine what it would be like to spend 9 years pretending to be somebody that you're not. No.
I'm going to get in trouble. I feel it coming.
But, Mr. Vice President, there's another reason I think that people admire you and like you, is that you're a man of substance. People know that you have experienced tragedies in your life, and we are inspired by the way that you have responded to those. And for myself, and I suspect for millions of people out there, I'd like to offer my condolences for the loss of your son, Beau. I know that he was a great man, and I was hoping you could tell us a story about him. The president, in his eulogy, called your son Joe 2.0. In what way is that a compliment to you?
You know, my dad had an expression. He used to say, you know you're a success as a parent when you turn and look at your child and realize they turned out better than you. I was a hell of a success. My son was better than me. And he was better than me in almost every way. The thing about Beau was, from the time another expression my dad had was, never complain and never explain. I never one single time, my word as a Biden, ever heard my child complain. When he was in that accident, lost his mom and his sister. He was very badly injured, almost every bone in his body broken. He was in a cast from his ankles, both legs, his chest, his arms. I used to carry him around with a hook in his back. And my other son, Hunter, his best friend, a year and a day younger, was just about 3 and had a severe skull fracture. And he'd sit in the room in the hospital, and he'd turn and he'd say, Hunt, look at me, look at me. I love you, I love you. 4 years old. Nothing changed. A couple months before he died, I was at his house, and he said, Dad, sit down. I want to talk to you with Hallie, his wife, an incredible kid. And he said, Dad, I know how much you love me. He said, you got to promise me something. Promise me you're going to be all right. Because no matter what happens, Dad, I'm going to be all right. Promise me. This is a kid who I don't know what it was about him. He had this enormous sense of empathy. And I'm not making this up. I know I maybe sound like a father. I hope anyway, but it's real.
It sounds like you love him, sir.
Oh, geez. I mean,
How is your faith? I know you're a man of deep faith. How has your faith helped you respond to having lost your first wife and your daughter and now your son? How important is that in your life, and in what ways has it helped you?
First of all, it's a little embarrassing this being about me. There's so many people, maybe some people in the audience, who've had losses as severe or worse than mine and didn't have the incredible support I have. I have such an incredible family. And so I feel self-conscious talking about the loss is serious and it's consequential, but there's so many other people going through this. But for me, you know, my wife, when she wants to, she's a professor, when she wants to leave me messages, she literally tapes them on my mirror when I'm shaving. And she put up a quote from Kierkegaard. And Kierkegaard said, "Faith sees best in the dark." And for me, my religion is just an enormous sense of solace. And some of it relates to ritual, some of it relates to just comfort of what you've done your whole life. I go to Mass and I'm able to be, it's just alone. Even in the crowd, you're alone. I say the rosary. I find it to be incredibly comforting. And so what my faith has done is it sort of takes everything about my life with my parents and my siblings and all the comforting things and all the good things that have happened around the culture of my religion and the theology of my religion. And I don't know how to explain it more than that, but it's just a place you can go. And by the way, a lot of you have been through this. The faith doesn't always stick with you. Sometimes it leaves me. Sometimes, so I don't want to come off like, anyway,
No, I understand the feeling. You don't want to come off as pious or a holy Joe.
Yeah.
I understand that, but
I'm sure not.
but
I'm sure not.
but what inspires me, sir, about your response in your life and your service to the country and what you instilled in your children is that you have suffered, and yet through your suffering, you seem to have made some beautiful things in your life. You've dedicated yourself to other people and helping them. What lessons would you give other people who are facing the kind of suffering that you
My
faced?
mom had an expression. She'd say, as long as you're alive, you have an obligation to strive, and you're not dead till you've seen the face of God. It really, really has been imbued in me, my siblings, my mother, my grandfather. Life is, no one owes you any, my dad said, no one owes you anything. It's just, you gotta get up. And and I'd feel like I was letting down Bo, I've letting down my parents, letting down my family. And
how have you let them down?
If I didn't just get up, you know, I mean, you just got to get up. And think of all the people you know who are going through horrible things, and they get up every morning and they put one foot in front of the other. And they don't have, like I said, anything like the support I have. I marvel at the ability of people to absorb hurt and just get back up. And most of them do it with an incredible sense of empathy to other people. I mean, it's interesting. The people I find who I'm most drawn to are people who have been hurt, and yet, and I'm not going to embarrass you, but you're one of them, old buddy. No. Your mom, your family, losing your dad when you're a kid and 3 brothers. I mean, you know, it's like asking, what made your mother do it every day? How did she get up every single day with 11 kids and stuff? I mean, it's just.
Well, she had to take care of me.
Well.
You know? She did. No, that's it. We were there
By
for
the
each
way,
other,
that
and
must
I
have
had
been a hell of a job.
and I had to take care of her.
That's
I had
the
to
point.
take care of her.
That's the point.
You know? Yeah. Can I ask you something?
Sure.
I like to tell this little joke, which is I should say, oh, yes, I raised my mother. Because after Dad and the boys died, she was a little non-compos mentis, or at least emotionally completely shattered. You know, I like to say I raised my mom from the years on for a few years. In what ways did Bo and Hunter raise you
My
after your
boys,
original...
actually, honest to God, did. If my son Hunter was here, the first thing he'd walk in, he'd give me a kiss and say, Dad, you need anything? They're always worried about me. And like, you know, even in my public life, the boys would be like, I'd be doing a national debate with 70 million people watching the debate, and I'd walk out of the room. The last two guys would be in the room with me, and my boys, and they go, "Look at me, Dad. Home base. Remember who you are, Dad. Remember who you are." No, I'm serious. It was like my kids.
Well, if you could stick around for a moment more, I'd like to find out a little bit more about who Joe Biden is. We'll be right back.
I think it's
with the
time
Vice
to leave.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.